بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We're going to read through the chapter about Zakat al-Fitr, the chapter about paying Zakat al-Fitr. Inshallah we can finish it. The chapter is not that long, so inshallah we can finish it before the adhan, or at least get the most important issues, discuss the most important issues. So we'll read from Zad al-Mustaqni'. قال المؤلف رحمه الله باب زكاة الفطر تجب على كل مسلم فضل له يوم العيد والليلة صاع عن قوته وقوت عياله وحوائجه الأصلية. So firstly, discussing who is Zakat al-Fitr. Who is Zakat al-Fitr obligatory on? And Zakat al-Fitr, as is mentioned in the more detailed books, is that it is sadaqatul an al-badan, that it is two benefits from Zakat al-Fitr, from paying the Zakat al-Fitr. A, that for any deficiencies or mistakes that a person may have made during the fast, that it is an expiation for those mistakes or shortcomings that a person may have did while they were fasting. And B, that it is also, as the Prophet ﷺ said, طُعْمَةً لِلْمَسَاكِينَ. It is food and it is sustenance for those who are in need of it. So it is a two-way or two benefits from Zakat al-Fitr. It says, وَهَذِهِ يُرَادُ بِهَا الصَّدَقَةَ عَنِ الْبَدَنِ الصَّدَقَةَ عَنِ الْبَدَنِ. So the Zakat al-Fitr, firstly, is obligatory on every Muslim. Every Muslim. Which means the Zakat al-Fitr is not obligatory on who? On the non-Muslim. In the ulama al-fiqh, they write these books like that intentionally in order to remove certain people or certain things from the maqsood, from the intent. It's obligatory for the Muslims to pay Zakat al-Fitr. Tayyib. It says, kulli Muslim, but there's another condition or stipulation on the people who have to pay Zakat al-Fitr. It says, فَضَلَ لَهُ يوم العيد وليلته. The person who has enough food to suffice himself for the day of the Eid and the night of the Eid. So the Zakat al-Fitr, the intent behind the Zakat al-Fitr, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, is that so those who are in need do not have to ask and worry about where they're going to eat while everyone else is celebrating. As their Eid is a celebration. Their Eid is a celebration. So the needy, as we say, or those who are in need, so that they won't have to worry about what they're going to eat on the day of their Eid or the night of their Eid. So that they're comfortable celebrating just like everyone else and enjoying their Eid. So after that he says, sa'an an qutihi wa quti iyalihi wa hawaijihi al-asliya. That the sa'a is the measurement, and the second portion of this chapter, which we may get to or we may not, but we'll summarize it at least. That measurement of containing the food for a person's self and his family, after they've covered their necessities. Meaning, you don't go digging into your necessities in order to pay somebody else Zakat al-Fitr, in order to give it away. When you have children, family members, wife, that, right, other people that you may be in charge of, that you're taking care of. you're supporting them and you're providing for them. You don't take from what those people need or take from what you need on top of that, the hawaj asliya, the original needs, and then give them away to somebody else. After everyone is safe, or let's say has their needs immediately, whatever's extra is where the zakat al-fitr is to be taken from. Everybody clear? For example, you have food in the house, let's say it's 5 people in the house, right? You have food for 4 people. That means, Aslan, you don't have enough food to what? To cover the whole people in your house. You're not going to dig into the food that's for 4 and give it away. So now you're down, you only have enough food for 2 or 3. If you have 5 people in the house, and you have enough food for 5 people, right? Then you don't have any extra to give away. If you have 5 people in the house, you have enough food for 8 people. Now, how much can you give away? Just say hypothetically, you can give away enough food to feed how many people? 3. What you don't do is go below the need, the necessity of the people that you are, not to say in charge of, but the people who are accountable for, those people who are dependent on you. So, after the hawaj al-asliya, طيب, it says, وَلَا يَمْنَعُهَا الدَّيْنِ إِلَّا بِطَلَبِهِ. And the fact that a person has a debt that they owe, it doesn't mean that you can't pay zakat al-fitr. That doesn't prevent you from paying zakat al-fitr unless the person that you owe the debt to requests that you pay them. If they request that you pay that debt, then the debt needs to be paid, inshallah. طيب. So, let's use the same number, for example. There are 5 people in the house, right? It says, فَيُخْرِجُ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ وَمُسْلِمْ يَمُونُهُ وَلَوْ شَهْرَ رَمَضَانِ. That when you start going through the 5 people in your household, that a person, you start with yourself. So you pay zakat al-fitr on your own behalf first. This is for me. Okay? Now this is the general sense. Generally, I'm paying for myself first. I may have had mistakes in my fast, right? So it's not like we pay for everybody else for their mistakes in their fast, but we good, we're okay. No, that every person pays, and it includes not just yourself, but it also includes wa Muslim yamunuhu walau shahr Ramadan, and every Muslim that you are accountable for, and even if you're only accountable for him during the month of Ramadan. Clear? Every Muslim that is under your care, right? Every Muslim that is under your care, meaning, who don't we have to pay for? Huh? A non-Muslim that's under your care, you don't have to pay zakat al-fitr for him. Clear? Example, let's just say you're taking care of your nephew, right? Who's not a Muslim, but you take care of him, right? When it comes to paying zakat al-fitr, you wouldn't have to pay for your nephew, as they're not Muslim. Who? Hatta wala. If they're not mukallaf, even if they're children, you're going to be paying for your children, they're not mukallaf. Right? The benefit of the zakat al-fitr, we mentioned 2 benefits that's mentioned in the hadith. One is that what? It fills in the deficiencies for the fast. 2, tu'matan lil masakin. طيب. So the Muslim, for example, again, so if there's a non-Muslim that you're taking care of, then the zakat al-fitr is not paid on behalf of the non-Muslim, but it's paid on behalf of the Muslims. The Muslims, as it says, وَمُسْلِمٌ يَمُونُهُ وَلَوْ شَهْرَ رَمَضَانَ. Let's say, for example, it's not your son, it's not your daughter, right? But they came and they stayed with you for the month of Ramadan, and they were under your care for the month of Ramadan, and you took care of them for the month of Ramadan. In that case, then you would pay Zakat al-Fitr for that person or child also. Clear? It's not an issue of being of age or not. It's an issue of who am I taking care of? Who is under my care that I'm taking care of? Every person that's under my care that I'm taking care of, I'm going to pay Zakat al-Fitr for that person. Clear? Because a wife, she's of age. She can pay for her own home, really. But if she's under my care, it's my wife, then I'm going to pay for my wife. Clear? Tayyib. Now, say for example, as the next issue is فَإِنْ عَجَزَ عَنْ بَعْضٍ فَإِنْ عَجَزَ عَنِ الْبَعْضِ بَدَأَ بِنَفْسِهِ. Number one. So let's just say that a person isn't able to cover the 5 people under their care in the household. Right? Meaning, as we said before, they have enough extra to cover 3 people. Right? They have enough to cover 3 people. Let's say there's a wife, or there's the husband, the wife, and 3 kids. طيب. They have the necessities that they need, and now they have how much extra? 3 people extra to pay, that they can pay food with. Everybody with me? So in reality, how many people can they feed altogether? 8. But from the 8, how much is extra? 3. So they can only give away 3. They can't give away the original needs that you need for your family. You don't take from your family's needs and give it away to somebody else that's needing. Clear? So you only take it from what's extra. Okay? Everybody with me? Tayyib. From that extra, right? In reality, I'm supposed to pay for 5 people because those are the people that I'm responsible for. But I only have enough to pay for 3 people. Which 3 people do I pay for? Do I just choose? I love my wife. I'm gonna make sure hers is good. My oldest son, and this is my baby daughter. Everybody with me? It's not a choice. Bada bi nafsi, that a person starts with themselves, firstly. That means they have enough to pay for 2 more people. So who do they go to next? Femra'atihi. So then he pays for his wife. After this, it goes down the line, and this line is generally connected to the chain or the line of inheritance. Who would inherit when a person dies? Okay? He says, فَرَقِيقِ فَأُمِّهِ فَأَبِيهِ فَوَلَدِهِ فَأَقْرَبْ فِي مِيرَاثٍ. Then a person would, if they had a slave, they would even have to pay Zakat al-Fitr. If they had a slave, they would have to pay Zakat al-Fitr for their slave. They would have to pay, after that, for their mother, for their father, for their son, in the order of inheritance. Not necessarily. That was his question. It's not necessarily the age, but it's more or less, who are you responsible for? Who are you supporting? Who is under your care? The Muslims that are under your care, not necessarily the age. Tayyib. The next issue is there are 5 people in the home, right? And the wife is pregnant. The wife is pregnant. So now the question is, do I have to pay Zakat al-Fitr for, right, the fetus? Because now that makes it how many people? 6. It says we used to habbu. It's recommended to pay for the pregnant, the baby, or the fetus, but it's not an obligation to pay for the fetus. So it will remain 5. If a person did pay for the fetus, the wife, and she's pregnant, then that would not be a problem. It says, لِفِعْلِ عُثْمَانَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ وَلَا تَجِبْ عَلَيْهِ. طيب. He says after that, وَلَا تَجِبْ لِنَاشِزْ لَا تَجِبُ لِنَاشِز. Does anybody know what a nashes is? Nashes? What is the nashes of shit? The nashes. The nashes is the wife that is disobedient. The wife that is not, doesn't mean because the man is mad at her, he doesn't have to pay. Doesn't mean when you're mad at your wife, you don't have to pay Zakat al-Fitr for her. Nashes is a level of disobedience that a woman reaches, and when she reaches that level of disobedience, that the husband is not obliged to spend on her. That doesn't mean every time you get in an argument that she's nashes now. Clear? It doesn't mean when she disagrees and does something, are you nashes? No, I only had to spend for, I'm not buying you. It doesn't mean that. Nashes, and this is not the chapter for it, but it's mentioned here because, as he says, وَلَا تَجِبْ لِنَاشِز لِأَنَّهُ لَا تَجِبْ عَلَيْهَا نَفَقَتِهَا. The same way that if the wife reaches a certain level of disobedience, that the husband is not obliged to spend on her outside of anything else, the same thing here. If she's a nashes, then he doesn't have to pay Zakat al-Fitr for her either. That's why it's mentioned here. What's the level of disobedience and what is the details to that? That's another chapter that inshallah will be covered after Ramadan in the next chapter of the Bab al-Talaq. Inshallah. طيب. So he says, وَمَنْ لَزِمَ غَيْرُهُ فِطْرَتُهُ فَأَخْرَجَ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ بِغَيْرِ إِذْنِهِ أَجْزَأَتْهُ. Mathalan, a person comes, we don't have that much time, a person comes and they don't, for example, he's responsible for his wife. His wife, she goes out and pays Zakat al-Fitr on herself. Everybody with me? The man is responsible for his wife and his children. His wife, of course, she's of age. Maybe she works, she has her own. She's able to pay for herself. She doesn't have to because the husband is responsible for the wife. But let's just say the wife goes and she pays Zakat al-Fitr for herself. She doesn't talk to her husband or anything about it. She goes out and pays Zakat al-Fitr for herself. As he says, that would count. It counts, no problem. Ajza'athu. Is that the best thing to do inside of a household, depending on the relationship between the husband and the wife? If she did that, would it count? It would count. It would count. طيب. وتجب بغروب الشمس ليلة الفطر. It becomes obligatory, ليلة الفطر بغروب الشمس, with the set at sunset, the night of the Eid, the night of the Eid. Clear? When is Zakat al-Fitr obligatory, become obligatory on a person? The night of the Eid. So, if a person, let's just say right now, a person's not Muslim, up until today, right? All the way, the night before the Eid at 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock at night, they accept Shahada, they take Shahada after Isha. After Isha, they come in and take Shahada, right? At that point, they would not have to make, or they would not have to pay Zakat al-Fitr. Why? Because they would have to been Muslim before the sunset. Before sunset. If you're Muslim before sunset, the night of the Eid, then you have to pay Zakat al-Fitr. If you're not Muslim and then you accept Shahada, you take Shahada after that, then you don't have to pay Zakat al-Fitr.
What's the exact measurement that's supposed to be paid per person?
We're going to get to that, inshallah. That's what this is. We'll get to that, inshallah. We're going to wrap it up because that's a whole nother section, but we're going to summarize it, inshallah. طيب. He says, فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ بَعْدَهُ أَوْ مَلَكَ أَبْدًا أَوْ زَوْجَةً أَوْ وُلِدَ لَهُ وَلَدٍ لَمْ تَلْزَمْهُ فِطْرَتُهُ. So whoever, for example, the same thing. If the person takes Shahada after the sunset, the night before the Eid, if the person or his wife has a baby after sunset, then they don't have to pay for those people. He's married, but they don't consummate the marriage until after sunset, then those people do not have to pay Zakat. You don't have to pay Zakat al-Fitr for those people. Everybody that has to pay Zakat al-Fitr is connected to previous, before Maghrib, the night before their Eid. Clear? Before Maghrib, the night before their Eid. طيب. He says, وَقَبْلَهُ تَلْزَمْ. So if they, for example, a person took Shahada after Asr, the Eid is tomorrow, and the person takes Shahada right now, right? Before sunset, they have to pay Zakat al-Fitr also. The man marries, they get married, he consummates the marriage with his wife. Well, it's difficult to say it now because it's the day of Ramadan, but let's just say last night, right? And then their Eid is tomorrow. As long as it's before their Eid, before sunset of their Eid, and he has to pay for it, so forth and so on. Tayyib, when can you start to distribute the Zakat al-Fitr? It's 4 different rulings connected to it. What is permissible? يجوز إخراجها قبل العيد بيومين فقط. It can be distributed before the Eid by 2 days, either 1 or 2 days before the Eid, either on the 28th of Ramadan or the 29th. 2 days previous is permissible. طيب. The second ruling, ويوم العيد قبل الصلاة أفضل. Mustahab, the best time, the most recommended time to give out the Zakat al-Fitr is the day of the Eid, after Salat al-Fajr, but before the Eid prayer. Before the Eid prayer, which may be difficult, Allahu A'lam. If you're able to do that, alhamdulillah. If not, you don't want to put yourself in a tight situation. Then there's a time that is disliked. يُكْرَهْ فِي بَاقِيهِ. If the Zakat al-Fitr is given out after the Eid prayer, after the Eid prayer has been established, then it is makruh, disliked, even though it still should be given. In the fourth one, it says, وَيَقْضِيهَا بَعْدَ يَوْمِهَا آثِمًا. And if a person gives it out the day after that, then that is something that is not permissible, muharram, and they will be sinful for doing that without a valid excuse for delaying the giving out of the Zakat al-Fitr. Why? Again, the Zakat al-Fitr, the benefit, the point of the Zakat al-Fitr is that the Muslims who don't have, the miskeen, the masakin from amongst us, that they are fine. They don't have to worry about where they're going to eat and food and drink for them and their families on the day of celebration. So while all of the Muslims are celebrating, that the people don't have to worry, and there's not a question, where am I going to eat from? What are we going to do about food? It's supposed to keep them satisfied for when? The next 3 weeks? That's not a condition. As long as them and they're satisfied for a day, the day and the night of the Eid. This is the point of Zakat al-Fitr. Okay? If they get more than that, alhamdulillah. Tayyib. Lastly, because we only got 2 minutes to the adhan. Who's going to call the adhan, Sheikh? Someone can call the adhan. What should be given out, or how much has to be given out? وَيَجِبُ الصَّاعَ. A sa'a is a measurement that is measured by, which is 4 amdad, a mud. This is a mud. What contained with this size is a mud. This is what the Prophet ﷺ used to make, a mud wudu, with this much water. Tayyib. 4 of these equals 1 sa'. Now if you don't have this, then most people, or some explain it as 4 handfuls. 4 handfuls of something of a regular size, I'm sorry, a normal sized person's handful, yes. Yeah. No, we're gonna do that lastly. But since you asked it, we don't take the food here, as the food should be given, as it says, a sa'a from different types of food. Then we gotta wrap up, but generally there are specific foods that are mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. From those things are wheat, grain, bur, sha'ir, dates, zabib, raisins, but the scholars differ. Is it restricted to that? Can we only give these things? Others say no, you can give the food that is the normal food to the people in your land. How much food would it be? 4 of these equaling a sa'a, which is approximately 3 kilograms per person. So if you're responsible for 3 people, that means you're paying how many kilograms of food? 9. We don't have, and we're not taking food here, so don't bring it and drop it off here. But Masjid al-Wasatiyah, but they're at Tidal on 58th and Hoffman, they have a whole program, mashallah, tabarakallah, a whole system set up. If you don't know anybody personally that you can get the food to, if you don't know anybody that you can get it to personally, Masjid al-Wasatiyah, they have a very organized system that you can set up and that you can go there and distribute your food there. But please, don't bring it here because we don't have anybody to give it to. And if it comes here, it's going to sit and it's going to be wasted. Everybody clear? Don't go nowhere now. Clear? So this is a mud, and if you don't have this, it's approximately 4 handfuls, and if you can't do that, approximately 3 kilograms per person. So if you got 5 people in your house that you're responsible for, fish. طيب ايش يسوي؟ ندري طيب. If you want to go above 4, go above 4. Unless you got one of these, you're going to give it out with. On top of that, you can call it man. Any further discussion could come after the salah, inshallah.
الله أكبر الله